My name is Mark Melkowski. I am with AFIA. AFIA is American Financial Education Alliance. We're one of the coaches, charter president out here. That really doesn't mean anything other than we've been involved in these 501c3. AFIA is actually a 501c3, so we're governed by the little company called the IRS. So that's why we can't do any selling here, because if you're a 501c3, you just have to be educational. So we're not going to sell anything here, and you don't have to worry about any of that. Through AFIA, we do 14 different classes. We do a class on IRA, 401ks, annuities, wills and trust, estate planning, Social Security, how to get out of debt. Most of you don't have to worry about that. The younger people do, but most of you don't. So we do about 14 different classes. And we schedule those out here through the City of Surprise. I don't know how you all get them out here, but Ruby is very good at getting that out to you through an email or in the newspaper, however that gets out. And we've been doing them out here for 5 years. You can go on Channel 11. We first started with a company called SOFA, and that's Society for Financial Awareness. They're also a 501c3. Me, I've been doing this business. On the flip side tonight, we're here through AFIA, but we also have our own company that we've been doing estate planning, or whatever you want to call this, safe money, for 20-some years. So we've been doing it that way. We have a for-profit business also. I'm an Arizona native. I was a month old when we moved here. I have 3 kids and 4 grandkids. I've been married 38 years, consecutive years, to the same lady. Boy, isn't that great? So I'm not going anywhere. I like teaching these classes. I love doing this. So if you ask me a question and I don't know, I'm not afraid to say I don't know. Okay? So I'm not going to give you a spin answer just to say something that's not true. Okay? I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. We do safe money, and we make sure that people, we love to do SWAN. Do you know what SWAN is? Anybody know what SWAN is? You may know if you've been to one of my classes before. This is great. A friend of mine in Massachusetts made this up. SWAN is sleep well at night. It's a pretty good acronym, huh? So we make sure that people do that. So, and you all coming here tonight, what was your focus of coming here? What is the main reason you're here? Just to learn about Social Security? How many of you are taking Social Security? Not many of you, huh? How come you're not taking it? Too young? 61? How many think Social Security is going to be around forever? How many think it's going to go away? Anybody think that? Really, it's not going to go away. Remember who backs Social Security? Who backs Social Security? We do.
Taxpayers.
Yeah, we're the good, when they say the good faith of the United States of America, that's me and you. You and I, we're the good faith of the United States of America. You know, they've said it, right now they're paying out more than they're taking in on Social Security. But it still hasn't stopped the check, right? It's still coming. So I'm not one of those gloom and doom guys that Social Security is going to go away in 10 years and we're not going to have it. There's just things that you have to do to make sure that you're getting the most amount from your Social Security. When do you take it? I got a great answer for that. If you need it, take it. Even if you're 62. But if you're 62 and you take it, you reduce the amount that you're going to get. So if you wait till your full retirement age, write this down, FRA is full retirement age, it's either 66 or 67, then you're going to get the full retirement. If you wait to 70, you're going to get a 32% increase if you wait to age 70. Because every year you're going to get 8% at least, plus the cost of living that's going up. So you might make more than the cost, the 8%. So I'm a believer, if you need it, take it. Because it's all income. And remember, if one of you dies, what happens to the Social Security? If you're taking, you and your husband are taking, and one of you dies. One of them's gone. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. If you take Social Security, you and your husband are taking, or you and your wife are taking, and one of you is getting $2,000, and one of you is getting $1,000, and one of you dies, the lower one's going away. So you have to prepare for that. Especially the women have to prepare for that. Women outlive men by 10 to 15 years. about 80% of the time in that, and the woman loses about $18,000 a year. That's a lot of money. So how do you make sure that you don't, and I love financial advisors that say, well, just take it out of your other money and cannibalize your other money to supplement that income. I say supplement it with somebody else's income or money. You know, you can do that too. But just remember, some of you have had a loss of income here because your husband or wife has died, right? And you lose that income. And it's overnight that you're going to lose that income. We had a lady that came to one of the workshops years ago out in Mesa, and her husband died at, they put on the death certificate 11:59 p.m. on the 31st of the month. 1 minute before midnight. 3 weeks later, she got a letter from the Social Security that says, send back the $2,200. So she had to send it back. I don't know about you all. This is a little bit off the beaten path, but I think this is the greatest investment in the world. I wish I had made this up. Look, you pay me in all your life to Social Security, and when you retire, I'm going to give you a little bit. When you die, I get to keep it. Yeah, nice. Pretty good deal, huh? If you look at the first page, 60%, 40%. 40% of your income is going to come from Social Security. 60% is going to come from your other assets. There's 7 different strategies. There's 81 different combinations, and there's 567 different ways that you can take Social Security. If you don't do it properly, you're probably going to lose $100,000 or more taking Social Security or not taking it the right way. And if you screw up, you can't fix it, you know. So you just have to make sure you're taking it the right way. The number one question most people is, am I going to outlive my income? Would you all agree with that? You know, folks, I've been doing this a long time. The number one question in this room for all of us, whether we admit it or not, it's not about, catastrophic illness would be the most important thing to any of us here, having a catastrophe. But the second thing is outliving your income. Met with a lady and her husband today, and their major concern was outliving their income. They just want to make sure that they have enough income the rest of their lives, because we're living longer in America, right? Even with all the Big Macs and them telling us all that stuff, we're still living longer. So you want to make sure you don't outlive your income. And this is one way to get income. But you also have to realize that you're going to lose some of this income. And if some of the men here, and I'm not picking on the women, but some of the men here, if you have a pension and the husband dies, you're going to lose some of that pension. Most of the pensions in America today are 50% pensions. So if your husband's getting $2,000 and he dies, you're going to probably end up with $1,000, and you're going to lose one of the Social Securities. So that's where we get to the figure that the average woman loses about $1,500 a month, $18,000 a year. Now I've seen it worse, and I've seen it not as bad as that. But that's the end result. So how do you replace that income? That's the question. So, and you can see that right there, 58% of Americans are worried, 27% are very worried. You know, that's just the way it is in America. People are worried about their Social Security. And they're not sending out those statements anymore. You all know that, don't you? And you know why? They just don't, it's cost them too much money probably. But on that statement it says in the year 2037 that they're going to reduce the Social Security and we're going to be paying out more than we're taking in. But right now they're doing that. They're paying out more than they're taking in. But you can go online and see that. They're just not sending those out anymore. And you can go on there and probably calculate what you're getting. And if you want to, go on AFIA and you can calculate your Social Security. But there down on the noteworthy thing, an eligible worker is one that is eligible to get Social Security. Had 40 credit hours or 40 credits, however they do that, but that's an eligible worker, one that is eligible to get Social Security. And most of you are probably here eligible to get Social Security. Then an entitled worker is one that's applied but hasn't, whether or not they're receiving it. So whether or not you're receiving it or not. And then the WEPS, windfall elimination provision, it reduces your benefit if you receive a pension and you didn't pay into Social Security. And then the other one is government pension offset. And that's if the spouse or widowers benefits that receive a pension from the federal or state local government based on the work where you did not pay into Social Security. And they're going to reduce the amount of Social Security, like a railroad. If you worked at, anybody work at a railroad here? Anybody state or federal employees here? You didn't? You paid in? Yeah. Pardon me? In New Jersey. So, you know, like Ruby, when we were just talking about this morning, this afternoon, they'll ask you if you want to pay in or not pay in. There's a client right now that was in the New York Times that her husband didn't pay in, and he's getting $3,000 in pension, and she didn't pay in, she never worked, and he's getting $1,400 a month in Social Security. If he dies, she doesn't get any of that because she never paid into it, so she's not going to get any of that. She doesn't have any credits to get any of that. So there are things that you have to be aware of there. Now the cost of living, if you see on the next page there, you see that the cost of living was, in 2012, it was 3.60. So if you wait that and you were getting 3.60 and you wait a couple years past your full retirement age, they're adding 8% on plus that 3.60. So that's why I'm saying from age 66, full retirement age, to age 70, it's at least a 32% increase. So if you think you can wait to age 70, and one of the questions is, well, how do you know when you're going to die? You don't know. But they're going to add 8% plus the cost of living. Yeah, if you wait till 70. And at 62, it's reduced by 25%. You're only getting 75% of your Social Security benefit. And if you take it, that's permanent. If you take it for a year, after 1 year, it's permanent. So you're not going to be able to switch that. So do you take it at 62? If you're still working, I would probably say, what would you say if you're still working at 62? Would you take it? No, because you're still working. But if you're not working and you need it, would you take it? You have to answer that. If you need it for income, would you take it? Yeah. Yeah, if you took it for 6 months and you decided, look, I don't need it, you got to pay back those 6 months. If you take it for 1 year and 5 days, what happens? You're locked in at that old rate. So, again, you have to sit down, and we have a sheet in there at the end. You have to sit down and decide. You go through, when we sit down with people, we go through all of their income and see if they need it or not. Like the other day, we're with a guy, and he sells houses. He's 64 years old. He sells houses. He buys and sells them out here. And he says, I'm not going to take it. Well, yeah, he sold a house the other day, and he made $85,000. Well, then, does he need his Social Security? Probably not. So don't take it. But you have a little bit more options. Your options really come into play when you have full retirement age of 66 or 67. After your full retirement age, do they penalize you for income? No. 1 month after your full retirement age, you can make as much money as you want. But if you wait to 70, you're going to add 32% to that income. Because it's going up at least 8% a year. So full retirement age is either 66 or 67. And if your income is more, like when you're 62, you can only make $15,166 or something like that. I have the exact number here. And then it's 2 for 1. If you make more money, they're going to penalize you. So that's what I'm saying. Why would you take it if they're going to penalize you if you're making money at 62 and you're still working? Anybody here at 62 and you're still working? Some of you are probably still working. You're deciding whether I take that Social Security or not. There's a good factor for you to decide whether to take it or not take it. I would just say, and I'm not telling you what to do, but if you're 62 and you're still working, why take it? It's going to be a reduced amount. Unless you really need it and you think you need it, but you're going to get penalized if you make more than $15,000. So if you're 62 to 66 and you're making over $15,480 and you take your Social Security, you're going to get penalized 2 for 1 on that. It depends on how much your income is, if you're married or not married. Because if you're married and you make over $45,000, they're going to tax your Social Security up to 85%. They have the right to do that. If you're single and you make over $32,000, they have the right to tax your Social Security up to 85%. Has it already been taxed? Yeah. They just get to tax it again. So on the cost of living, and if you remember on the cost of living, I'll just give you some examples here on the cost of living. Back in 1981, the cost of living, 1980 was 14.3, 1981 is 11.2. Do you think we'll see those days anymore? No. I mean, if you look right there, in 2014, it was 1.50 this year, the cost of living. So we're not going to see, I don't know, we may see those, but I don't think so. So the claiming age right there, that's what we're talking about. The claiming age is 62. You receive benefits early. The cons of that is you're getting the smallest monthly check and possible reduction penalty if you're employed. Full retirement age, 66 or 67, you get a higher monthly check, no penalty if you're employed. 1 month after you're turned full retirement age, you can make, met with a guy the other day, he's making $50,000 a year, he's 67 years old, and he's getting his full retirement, and he's making $50,000 a year, and he has his full benefits from his Social Security, so you're not going to get penalized. After age 70, there is no more increase after age 70. You're not getting 8% anymore or anything like that. Remember, this is just ordinary income. It's just like people think that, are you going to get taxed more? It's just like people think that because their IRA, if they say, well, I have a trust, my kids aren't going to get federal, they're not going to get taxed on their IRA. IRAs are fully taxable. They're just income tax. They might not have to pay estate tax, ESTAT, but they have to pay income tax. Because have you ever paid income tax on your IRA? How many of you have an IRA here? Most of you. You've never paid any income tax on that. So if you leave it to me, I'm your kid, and you leave me $200,000 IRA, and I'm your only kid, am I going to get taxed on that money? Yeah. But you have 2 kids. Because the IRS is the other kid. Anyway, just remember, if you're making $50,000 a year and your Social Security you're making $30,000, it's all ordinary income. All you have to do is look on, I think it's line 21A or 21B on your Social Security down there, and see how much they're taxing on your Social Security when you do your taxes. Just remember, if you're single and you make over $25,000, it's 50%. Over $32,000, it's 85%. If you're single, it's $32,000. I mean, married, it's $32,000, I believe, and up to 50%. And then after $45,000, it's up to 85%. Now, I say Social Security won't go away, but they may tax it a little bit more later down the road. We don't know what they're going to do. Look, folks, we're in a big heap of debt in America. Would y'all believe that?
Yes.
So, who said huge? It's huge. So, folks, just a question. How to get out of debt, what are the 2 ways we're going to get out of debt in America? We're either going to quit spending or we're going to raise taxes. So I'm going to take a vote here. How many think that politicians are going to... Anybody here a politician? How many think they're going to quit spending? I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent. They're not going to quit spending. So the only way to get out of this debt is to tax us more. Now, some people say when I say that I'm anti-American. I had a lady say that to me today. I'm not anti-American, but when does it stop? We're getting taxed to death. And so I'm just saying, in doing all these financial planning classes and education we do, you could legally, morally, and ethically stop some of the income tax that you're going to pay and your kids are going to pay on all your assets that you worked for all your life. So if you can do that, why would you not do that? There's nothing wrong with that. But there's only 2 ways they're going to quit spending. I mean, lower taxes. Either they quit spending or they raise the taxes. I vote they're going to raise taxes. And they haven't written the menu for the tax code 10 years from now. We're in the lowest tax code probably right now, a little lower. But we don't know what the tax code is going to be in 10 years, do we? None of us do. So just protect that, get around that. Okay. So at full retirement age 70, you get a higher monthly check. There's no penalty if you're employed, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Claiming benefits before 62, we already went over that. It's probably going to reduce your benefit by 20 to 35%, 25 to 30%. So if you're getting $2,000, think you're going to get $2,000 and you take it, just remember what your PIA is. And if it's low, it's going to be 25 to 30% lower than that if you take it between 62 and 65. If you want to wait, then wait until you get to full retirement. It's going to be more, 100% at full retirement. And if your husband's past full retirement or your wife, and you can go in and apply to and suspend yours and get some of theirs. Full retirement. So you got to remember at full retirement, if you're only going to get $1,000 and your husband's getting $3,000 and you want to go in and get $1,500 of his, just suspend yours and get $1,500 of his until you get age 70 and then turn yours back on. It's just file and suspend. You can do that. Okay, let's say she goes in and her Social Security is $700. But his is $3,000 and she can get $1,500 of his for 4 years or 5 years or 6 years. What would be better? Take the $1,500. Not going to hurt his. And then when she gets up to full retirement or she wants to turn hers on, if it's over $1,500, go in and turn hers on. You can do that. But you have to go in and file and suspend, okay? You have to go do that action.
And when do you do that, at 62?
Yeah, you can do that whenever you want. Yeah. After 62 is your entitled age.
You lost me with the file and suspend at 62. I thought you would file against your spouse's.
Well, you have to file for yours and then suspend it.
That's what I missed. Thank you.
You all get that? Yeah. You have to file yours and then suspend it and then take the next step to get your husband's or your spouse's. One of them has to be full retirement age. That's the key, the full retirement age.
So if the spouse is only 65, you can't do it.
That's right.
If he takes it at 65, you can't do it.
That's right. It has to be full. I said that a little bit earlier. You have to be full retirement age. Remember FRA. That's why I said write that down. FRA, full retirement age. That's where you get all your options. Okay, definitions down there. You have deemed. Deemed means deemed filing requires that the claimant file for any benefit before the full retirement must file all benefits available at that time. The next one is restricted application is available to workers who have reached full retirement, lays down restrict their application to one of the benefits they are eligible for. So it's a restricted, and then voluntarily suspend is you've reached full retirement, and then you suspend your benefits. Then if you go up to the top of that next page, it's $15,480. Then the next one is $41,400. After full retirement, it's no limit on the earnings. Now you see there's the table you were all asking me for. I knew I'd get to that. 25 to 35, I said 32. It's $25,000 to $34,000 up to 50%. Over, if you're single, over $34,000 is up to 85%. If you're married, under $32,000, there's zero tax on your Social Security. 32 to 44 is up to 50%, and over $44,000, it's up to 85%. Now, that's just on your Social Security. You're not paying 85% tax. So some people say, well, I'm paying 85% tax on my income. No, just on your Social Security. Then reducing your tax liability on your benefits. That's what I was just talking about earlier. If you want to reduce... For every $2 over the limit, $1 is withheld from your benefits. Then on the other one, it's for every $3, $1 is withheld. But once you're past 1 month of full retirement age, you can make as much as you want. But that's where I was saying is this guy asked me the other day, he's 63 years old, he makes $80,000 when he sells a house, and he sold 3 last year for $200,000. Do you take... Is it going to hurt my Social Security? Well, yeah, it's going to hurt. I mean, it's not going to hurt your Social Security, but they're going to take it out of what you made. So why take your Social Security at 63? And there are people that are still working at 66, 67 years old, making a lot of money and taking their full retirement. This guy we met the other day, he's making a lot of money, $100 and some thousand a year, and he has his full retirement package from the Social Security. It's not hurting him at all. You know, one of the first things we ever sat down with people when we sat down with them is if it's a husband and wife is, Mary, if John dies tomorrow, how much income are you going to lose? I don't know how many people ask that question because you're going to lose income. And I'm not picking on the men here, but you don't want your wife to lose income. I don't. I'm not embarrassed to say that. I do not want, if I die today, I do not want my wife to have to worry about income. I've been married to her for 38 years. I'm just talking from my heart on that. I don't want her to have to worry about where she's going to live, how she's going to eat. But guess what? We're going to die. That's a hard thing to talk about. We're going to die, and we have to make sure we prepare for that. You've worked all your life, prepare for that, to fix that, so that if one of you dies, the income... Are you laughing? You're not going to die?
No, nobody gets out alive.
No. Well, we asked a question, that you said that. We asked a question in Tucson one time. We said, what's your chances of dying? This guy raised his hand and said 50%. I was going to move to Tucson, but Maybe there's something down in Tucson that... But folks, that, again, I mean, I can go through all of this, estate planning and all of that. I'm a firm believer. Look, you got to decide on this worksheet. And the other thing is, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. You can go make 20% on your money, but if you're not keeping it, and you're not protecting it, and you're not leveraging like they're leveraging it, and you're not arbitraging it like they're arbitraging it, doesn't matter. It's what you do with that and how you keep it. Because it's just like an IRA. I'm going to get off base here a little bit. An IRA, if you don't protect that IRA, they do. They have a plan for your IRA. You all know that? If you don't have an estate plan, like this lady said earlier, if you're in your 65 or 70 years old and you don't have an estate plan, it's kind of late. If you don't have an estate plan, they have one for you. Do you all know that? And they're okay with that. So on the reducing your tax liability, you have other income. Some of you are getting wages. Write these down: 401k distributions, interest, dividends, income, capital gains, pension payments, inheritance. So if you say, well, look, I don't want to take my Social Security, so I'm going to take a little bit more here, I'm going to take less over there and preserve that, you can do all of that. Just sit down and do that calculator on that worksheet. What doesn't reduce your Social Security, what I'm getting at, is you might have a big pension and you say, well, do I take my Social Security right now or not? I don't know. So you sit down and do the worksheet. If you're getting a big pension and you say, I want to wait and not take my Social Security, do you have enough income that you can wait and let that thing grow? That's what I'm getting at.
So you're saying if you're actually taking distributions, pension distributions, then it affects things?
Well, pension is just an annuity that they're giving you pension, and it's ordinary income. Anything that you have that's ordinary income is income. If you're getting $3,000 a month from that pension, is that ordinary income? Yeah. So do I take my Social Security? Because right now, if you're single and you're getting $3,000 a month from your pension, that's $36,000 a year, right? So at $36,000 a year, they're going to tax your Social Security up to 85%. So do I take my Social Security or do I let it ride a little bit till I'm age 70? I don't know that. They're still going to tax it. You're still going to pay income tax on it because it's ordinary income. All we're getting at, as some of you have asked here, is when do I take my Social Security? If you have other income and you want the Social Security to grow by 8% every year, then wait. If you can not take the Social Security. Is that making sense to y'all?
Yes.
And if you say, I can take it out of another pot over here and let it grow, or I need it and I want to preserve this over here, okay. Or I had a guy in Massachusetts, another friend in Massachusetts, he said, take your Social Security. If 62 and if you don't need it, it's okay. Buy life insurance with it. My kids asked me to buy life insurance on me. I said, do it. Why not? I would rather my kid put $5,000, my two boys put $10,000 away, not in an IRA. I'd rather them put $10,000 into a life insurance policy on me than put it in an IRA. Because guess what? I'm going to die. And they're going to get tax-free, probate-free cash. So if you got the Social Security and you say, well, I don't know whether I don't really need it at 62, leverage it. Might be a good idea to look at that. And take that $1,500 a month, and is that going to help your family? Probably. You know, folks, I'm a firm believer in this. This is all of us in America. And some of you will admit it and some of you won't. Do you know what that is? You probably know because you've seen me do this. Do you know what this is? This little box with this? You know what this means? This is our comfort zone. So we're all in this little comfort zone, and when people come along and we go, oh, there's something different. Just like I'm saying, my kid said to me, I have a friend back in New Jersey somewhere. 10 years ago, he started telling these kids to start buying life insurance on their parents. And everybody said, well, that's kind of morbid. And I started thinking about it. That's pretty good. But what happens is we get to this comfort zone and we go, I don't want to do that because I don't understand that. And I've never heard that before. Our goal by doing financial education is help you expand that comfort zone. That's all. Does it work for you or doesn't it work for you? Doesn't mean you have to do it. We're not telling you should do, shouldn't do anything. It's just expand your comfort zone and look at some of these options out there. Because we all have a ton of options out there. So getting back to the Social Security again, on that one page, if you don't need it, don't take it. If you need it, take it. And there's some options out there for you. Spousal benefit options, individual benefit. Each spouse collects their individual benefit. Spousal benefit number 2. Lower earning spouse collects up to 50% of the higher earnings. So that's where I get back to, if John and Mary there, he's making $2,000, she's making $1,000, he dies, whoever dies keeps the $2,000 most of the time, 99% of the time. And then the widow spouse collects up to 100% of the deceased spouse benefit. So some important facts on the aspects to know about Social Security. In order to claim Social Security, you got to be 62 and you have to be married at least for 1 year. If you elect to receive spousal benefits before you reach full retirement age, your benefit will be reduced permanently. Do you get that? Unless you have a qualified dependent child. We got a client out here that adopted, they became client of ours. They have their daughter's on, she's just not a very good mom, so they adopted the 5-year-old kid, and they're getting Social Security benefits for him, raised their benefits because they adopted the 5-year-old. They're both 70, God bless them. They adopted this kid. They're legally their parents now. So if you claim a spousal benefit before, you will not be able to switch to your own retirement benefit at a later date. I said that wrong earlier, so excuse me for saying that. If you start your own regular benefit early and switch to a spousal benefit when you reach full, you may not receive the full spousal amount. Social Security will be subtracted, so you have some options there. I said that wrong in the beginning. Next page, in the event of a divorce, and I'm not going to ask anybody to been divorced here. If you're divorced, you have to be at least 62 years and you have to be married for 10 years. I think you all know that. You have to be married at least 10 years to get your husband's or wife's if you've been divorced. And then you can't get remarried. Y'all get that? And so those things are happening. Then on the survivor benefits, you have to be at least 60 years old. You have to be married for at least 9 months or 10 years if divorced. And you have to remain unmarried until the age of 60. And this is where I go back to the women. In the census of 2010, about 53,000, just say 53,000 people lived to age 100, and 82.8 of those people were women. Women outlive men. Men, listen, I don't care. And if you're, and we get this, I'll just give you an example. Went out to a guy's house out in Fountain Hills. He was 75 and she was 63. They had been married 35 years. What did I say? He was 75 and she was 63. What's the likelihood of him dying before her? Enormous. And my first question was, how much is your pension? He said, $6,000 a month. Great pension, huh? I said, if you die tomorrow, the garbage truck hits you when you take out the garbage, how much does Mary live? If looks could have killed, I'd have been dead. And Mary said, were you going to answer him? She knew the answer, he knew the answer, but no one wanted to say it, right? She was going to lose $6,000 a month. That's $72,000 a year, plus she was going to lose like $1,800 a month on Social Security. That's a lot of money. Survivor, you must be at least 60 years old, have to be married for at least 9 months or 10 years if divorced. You have to remain unmarried until after the age of 60. Okay, you have to be unmarried after age 60. Then the next one is a 53,000. It's 53,364 and 82.8% of the women. And then the next one is women outlive men by 5 to 10 years. And it's come down a little bit. It used to be like 12 years. It's about 10 years now. But women will outlive us. Now men don't answer why women outlive us, because we don't want to get into that. 83 for men, 85 for women. You know, we're living longer in America. We really are. All the technology and all of that stuff. Next page, as you see, the file and suspend case study. This is where the calculator comes into play. if the no spousal benefit and they file at 66, the cumulative combined benefits at age 90 is $55,500 a year. And if Joe files at 66 and suspends, and Cindy files for spousal benefits at age 66, both Jim and Cindy take their own benefits at age 70. Their combined benefit amount at age 90 is $77,500 per year. That's a difference of $526,000. And that's what we put in the calculator to show you all that if you want to calculate all that. But, and you could do that, I could do that right now, but I'm not going to go through all those numbers and do all of that. That's, if you put that in the calculator, you can see it right there. That's why they give you those numbers, because she went in and filed and suspended, took half of his, and then when they waited to both age 70 and turned on both of theirs, that's a big difference of about $20,000 over those years, $500 and some thousand. Do over or reset strategy once in a lifetime. Did you get that? Sorry. Once in a lifetime you can file and suspend over. Must be in the 1 year of initial claim for benefits. And then you can go on the request that application on socialsecurity.gov. It's called request for withdrawal of application. Because you only do it one time and it must be done in the first year. And folks, I got to tell you, over the course of the last couple of years since we started teaching these Social Security classes, because I was a little apprehensive about teaching these because I'm not with the Social Security, but I think we've been educated enough on them. We have found people that have taken the benefits and been told to take the benefits, and then they, after 1 year, they go in and they can't stop it, and they've lost a lot of money. And they say, "Can you help us?" I don't know what we can't do anything. And some of these people, it hurt them bad. Because they were told that they could go in and take it right now and then suspend. But one lady waited like 1 year and 3 days and went in there, and Social Security said, "Tough luck." And it hurt her and her husband. So just, you know, that's why we do those calculators and sit down with you and make sure that you understand how that works. So start, stop, must reach full retirement or later to suspend, can restart benefits at any time. After 66, you can file and suspend and then restart them anytime. You got that? At full retirement. Suspend benefits grow by 8% a year to age 70. Do they grow anymore after age 70? No. You're done. So take it. So it's 32% higher. There's no additional growth beyond age 70. So don't, you know. Now what? 44, it's 44 is that number there. Baby boomers, Generation X are projected to lack adequate retirement. So here's some questions for you. This is what we would ask you. What are my current income needs? That's where this page 10 comes into play. What are your current income needs? What are they? I mean, that's one of the most important. Folks, again, I'm going to go back to most important thing here that happened to you is a catastrophic illness. The second most important thing, darn it, is running out of income. I don't care. You don't want to run out of income. Nobody wants to run out of income. Then, second question is, what do I anticipate my income needs to be after I retire? Realistically, everybody says, I want to make. When we sit down with people, they go, "You know what, Mark, I don't want to change my lifestyle." We don't want you to change your lifestyle either, but be realistic. How much income are you going to really need? And do a realistic number. How much you're really going to need when you retire? And how are you going to get that? Remember, you know the 4% rule? It's not 4% anymore. It's about 4.7 now. You know what I mean by the 4% rule? You take out of your investments 4%. Reason you take out 4% is because they continue to grow and you're not depleting your integrity of your principal. But now it's 4.7%. So realistically, what are your income needs? All of you want to maintain your current lifestyle. So doing that sheet and realistically looking at how you're going to change get your income is a big deal. Because how many of you how many are still working here? Okay, and most of you are not working. What happens when you retire? And I'm not trying to be funny. What happens? You know what happens? Fundamentally, you got to make a decision because guess what? It's not coming every 2 weeks or every week. a paycheck. And reality sets in and you go, oh! Fundamentally, you got to make a change. Especially if you're taking money out of the market and you're in the market and you're used to, let's say we have another 2008 and you lose 30% in the market and you're taking your required minimum distribution out and your IRA's in the market and you're used to taking that 4% out, you got to make a decision. If you went from $200,000 and you lost 30% and now it's down to $140,000, but you're used to taking 4% off of $200,000, which is $8,000 a year, guess what you have to do right then? You got to make a decision. Do I take more money out or do I take less money out? If I take more money out, I'm going to reduce my integrity and my principal more. But if I take less out, my lifestyle is going to change, right? Big deal. So realistically, what's that income need are you going to need when you retire? Because folks, fundamentally, when you retire, there's no paycheck coming no more. Now here's the biggest question on the third question is how do I close? Realistically, what your income is, what are my income needs going to be? Realistically, what do I want? How do I close that gap? That's a big question. How do you close that gap? Because I'm telling you, folks, I mean, I'm the same way. When I retire, I want to be the same lifestyle I have now. I don't want to change it because we're used to it, right? Will we have to change some of it? Yeah. And I love with men, no disrespect to men, when my wife dies, her expenses are going to be less. No, they're not. No, they're not. I've been around this business a long time. No, they don't. Because all the stuff that you were doing for her, she's got to pay for it. And it doesn't really change that much. So you got to, realistically, how are you going to change those income gaps? Then the next page is page 10. I already went over that. I would really encourage you to do that. If you want to do it with us, that's great. And do the calculators and sit down and see what your income needs are going to be with all your assets and how you're going to do that, how you want that to perform for you, how you want to take the money out. Do you understand the rule of 72? Do you understand the rule of 100 and all of that to get your income proper and all of that? There's just some great tools for you to use to make sure your income is proper, where you want it, and you're not going to outlive it, and you're not going to deplete your, like today I was with a guy. Now folks, all of you are going to get this, and he got this, and he says, I know it, but I'm so afraid of the market. He's got his IRA in a CD, Certificate of Depression. And he's making 1.2% on that CD, right? He's 77 years old and he's taken out 4.3% out of his IRA. So what happens to the integrity of his principal every year? It's going down by 3% every year. And he knows that, but he's afraid of the market. Well, there's ways that you can do that and not reduce the integrity of that principal, even though you're taking out the RMDs out of there. And they don't have to be in a certificate of depression. I'm not, and I know, Ruby, I shouldn't say that because I'm not trying to be funny. The CDs are okay. CDs are a great place for now money because we all have three categories of money. Now, later, and legacy. Now, later, and legacy. Some of them call them red, yellow, and green. But CDs are a great place because you can go in there and grab that money pretty quick. Then you have later money, money that you're going to use if something happens. Then you have legacy money that you're going to pass along to your kids or your grandkids. The question on the legacy money, do you want to leave it tax-free or taxable? If I'm the IRS and I'm here to help you, which is an oxymoron in itself, but I'm here to help you, and you had the chance to pay the taxes on the seed or the crop, which would you choose? The seed. Do that. You all have the option of doing that. So that's where closing these gaps a little bit and understanding how to leverage and arbitrage your money so that you know when to take Social Security. You know where to take your income from. You know when you should take your Social Security. Do I let it grow or don't I let it grow? If you sit down and you do this income needs thing, you're going to have a better understanding of where that's at. I'll just tell you a little story. And this is just a personal note. My son was 11 years old. He had open heart surgery. Had to have open heart surgery. We went to 4 doctors. Why did we do that? Just to make sure we're making the proper decision. That's what this income thing will do. Just sit down and say, there's my income, this is my assets, this is what I want, and this is what this is what I think I want, this is realistically what I need and all that. And how do you close all those gaps? and do that. Don't cannibalize your money to get income, because if you cannibalize your money and the market goes up and down, and then you have to make those tough decisions. If you would take the time and do that income needs analysis, you're going to help yourself tremendously. Some of you probably already done that. What do you anticipate your retirement income needs to be? That's what that is. Most retirees want 80 to 100% of their pre-retirement income after they stop working. Your Social Security benefit will provide 40% of that. So that's where you're going to get most of your income. So like if you're making $100,000 a year and you retire, how much do you want? Most people say, I want $100,000 a year. Well, sit down and figure that out, how to do that. Just like this couple today. They're thinking of moving into one of these homes out here, and she said, we need $5,700 a month. Okay. So we'll show them how to do that without cannibalizing their money. I mean, it's what you can do. If you have the assets to do that, then do that and maintain the integrity of your principal. That's why they had the 4% rule. What was the 4% rule? So you take out 4% so you don't reduce the integrity of your principal, right? That's like your IRA. Everybody says, well, I don't want to. How many of you would not take your RMD if you didn't have to? You know what RMD is? Required minimum distribution. How many would not take it if you didn't have to? Most of you wouldn't. Well, if you're going to take it, do you have to take it? When? And if you don't take it, they say it's okay, right? No. They penalize you 50% of that. And they tax you on 100%. So your Social Security is probably going to provide 40%. Where's the other 60% going to come from? And I know all of you sitting here, I've been doing this a long time, when you're getting ready to retire, I want my same income. Well, then let's see if you can do that. There's ways of doing that, if you can do it. Again, folks, it's this comfort zone. I love this. We all have that. Whether you want to admit it or not, whether it's with money or with something, we all have our comfort zone. And we don't want to get out of that comfort zone. Does that make sense? And when we do get out of that comfort zone, we go, kind of making me a little nervous, but sometimes it's not as bad. Any other questions? Because the last page is on annuities. And folks, I'm not here to say annuities are good or bad or indifferent, but folks, there's some great ways, income annuities, to provide you income, and you can turn those on and turn those off, and they are very good. Some of them are very good if you do the proper ones. Just like you asked me about the life insurance. Just make sure it's properly structured. That's what you want to make sure. That it's designed for your benefit. Anybody know the 4 types of annuities real quick? The 4 types of annuities are SPIAs, S-P-I-A, single premium immediate annuity. You give the insurance company $100,000 and they say, John, you're 75 years old, we're going to pay you out 8% of that money for the rest of your life, $8,000 a year. If you do it for a spousal, it's probably going to be $6,500 a year. You die, your wife still gets a $6,500. If you don't set it up properly and you do a SPIA and you die, the insurance company keeps your money. Okay? They're betting you're going to die, and you're betting you'll outlive them. Then there's fixed annuities. So a SPIA is like a pension, just related to a pension. Then there's fixed annuities. Fixed annuities are just like CDs. You go into an insurance company and you say, look, I got $100,000 and I want to put it in here, and they say, well, how long do you want to put it in there for? The longer you leave it in, the higher they're going to give you. The difference between a fixed annuity and a CD is you don't pay any income tax on the gain. On your CD, every year you get a 1099, you pay income taxes on that because it's ordinary income. On a fixed annuity, you put the $100,000 in there. I'm just using $100,000. Don't say you have to put $100,000 in there. But if you put $100,000 in the fixed annuity and they pay you 3% for 5 years, they're paying you 3% for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, if you pull it out, you're going to pay taxes on the gain. If you don't pull it out and roll into something else, you do a 1035, you still haven't paid any taxes. On a CD, if they're giving you 3% on $100,000, end of every year you get $3,000. You have to put that on there as ordinary income. So I relate SPIAs are like a pension. Fixed annuities are like a CD. The difference between a CD and a fixed annuity is you do not pay any income tax on the gain.
Only if you roll it
over into 60?
You don't even pay it if you roll it over. On a 1035 exchange, you don't pay any taxes on it. Normally, if you have a CD and you die, if I'm your kid, do I pay any taxes on it? Probably not, because you probably already got a 1099. Generally speaking, I'm going to get your CD tax-free, okay, because you got a 1099. On a fixed annuity, if you die and there's you put in $100,000 and you die and there's $115,000 in there, I have to pay taxes on the $15,000 if I'm your kid. Okay? So you have a SPIA, you have a fixed annuity, then you have variable annuities. Variable annuities are nothing more than annuities wrapped around mutual funds. And if you go to one of these companies, I'm not going to name their names, but if you go to these brokers and they say, look, John, I'm going to give you a variable annuity, they don't own the annuity. It's outside their realm. It's owned by an insurance company. They'll manage it for you and they'll take a fee off of there, but they don't control that annuity. It's with an annuity company. And what does variable mean? Fluctuates. Okay? So then in 1987, somewhere around there, 97 or in the early 90s, they came out with fixed index annuities. The best of all the worlds of those three annuities. Fixed index annuities, it means your money's tied to the market, but it's not in the market. So if the market goes up 10%, you get some of that gain. If the market goes down 10%, you don't get any of the loss. Your principal is always protected, cannot lose money by the market. You following that? So if you put $100,000 in a mutual fund and it goes down by 10%, how much do you have?
90.
If you put money in a fixed index annuity and it goes down by 10% and you put in $100,000 and that year it goes down by 10%, how much do you have? 100 or more. You can't lose any money. If the market goes up by 15% the next year, you get 15% on 90 or 15% on 100. Which would you rather have?
15 on 100.
Those are the four kinds of annuities. Remember, with an annuity, if you put money into an annuity company, for every dollar you give them, they have to put $1.04 to $1.07 in reserves to back that dollar, or they can't take your money. Do you get that?
Where do they get that?
Off of term insurance and their investments. So they have their back. You're in the insurance company. Remember, if an insurance company goes out of business, they don't go into bankruptcy. They go into a thing called receivership. So if they go into receivership, if they have 20% of the market in Arizona, those other companies have to take over their company, their business in that state. And they're governed by the insurance departments, and they have reinsurers on that money too. What insurance do you have on a mutual fund? I'm asking all of you. None. Folks, I'm a firm believer, again, in doing these education classes, and I always don't want to embarrass Ruby, but she does this for us every year. We've been doing this for 5 years out here because she thinks education is the best thing. All we're asking you to do is look at these things and sit down and say, look, don't just do something because someone says, I mean, we get people to buy annuities and they go, I say, well, why'd you buy that? Well, the guy gave me a 10% bonus. Well, what's the exit strategy? What's the tax consequences? What happens if you die? Is it full benefits when you die? What is the scenario? How does your IRA really work? All of you have an IRA. Have you ever read IRS publication 590? You should. Because IRAs do not mean individual retirement accounts. Do you know what they mean? We all think they mean individual retirement accounts, right? According to the IRS, publication 590, they're individual retirement arrangements. And who's the arrangement with? The government. It's the only investment in the world that they tell you when to take it out, how much you have to take out. If you don't take it out, we're going to beat you up. And when you die, we're going to take it, some of it. So when we do these education classes, we're trying to be very thorough with these things, and it's hard to do that in an hour and a half. So that's why we say on those orange sheets, that's what I'm getting to, is if you want to sit down and further your education, it doesn't cost you anything to do that. You should do that. I'm not trying to be a hardcore, like, you have to do it, but you should do that. This stuff is important, and our world is changing on financial matters every day in America. And I could go on and on about IRAs, what the government's trying to do about IRAs, and it would probably scare you to death. But they're looking at them. Other than that, we're finished. I appreciate you being here. I'm right on time. And that's it. Thank you very much.